We've been studying the book of Acts recently, and I wondered at the end of it, what happened to the disciples? What did they get up to? Where did they end up? We know of one or two, but the others, what happened to them? In Acts chapter 1, we read the account of Jesus' ascension, and I think his last words before he was taken up to heaven are significant. You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. In the next chapter, chapter 2, we have the account of Pentecost, the Holy Spirit coming down on the disciples, and they were able to speak in many languages so that the bystanders who had come for the festival from all over the known world were able to understand the gospel in their own language. But what happened after Pentecost? Did the disciples fulfill the command given by the Lord to reach to the end of the earth? We know about the Apostle Paul, who incidentally wasn't a believer yet when these events happened. His extensive journeys are illustrated on the back pages of many Bibles. He got to Cyprus, modern-day Turkey, Greece, Malta and Rome, while all the while he wanted to get as far as Spain, considered to be the end of the earth at that time. But what about the other disciples? Where did they get to? Except for Paul and Peter to some extent, there is little or no information in the Bible about their whereabouts. So I did some internet searches and came up with some amazing findings. Some of these are legend, but most seem to be historically correct and sound. I'll illustrate it on a map so we can follow their progress. Peter, as mentioned, he ended up in Rome, where he was martyred. He was crucified, but asked to be crucified upside down, because he didn't want to die in the same way as Jesus died. Andrew got to the Caucasus, to the land of man-eaters, cannibalistic tribes, as it were. He was crucified too, but asked to be crucified in an X-shaped cross. Then we have Thomas. You remember doubting Thomas from the accounts in John's Gospel? He got as far as southern India, where he planted the Martoma Church, which still exists to this day. We find Philip in various parts of the world, from Carthage, this is modern-day Tunisia, to Scythia, which is north of the Black Sea. Matthew, the tax collector turned gospel writer, travelled all the way to Persia. Then Bartholomew, also known as Nathanael, got first to Armenia, then to Ethiopia. We find James, the son of Alphaeus, first in Syria, then in Egypt. It seems that Simon the Zealot travelled with James to the same places. The other James, Jesus' brother, was martyred in Jerusalem. Matthias, the disciple who was chosen to replace Judas Iscariot, travelled all the way to modern-day Georgia. John, son of Zebedee, writer of the Gospel of John and of the 3 epistles and Revelation, he was a church leader in Ephesus for many years before he was banned to the island of Patmos. The other son of Zebedee, James, yes, another James, legend has it that he got to Spain, and Santiago de Compostela is named after him. And finally, there is Thaddeus, also called Judas. It's confusing, isn't it? Well, he reached Syria via Lebanon. That's an impressive itinerary, considering it all happened at a time when travel was much more difficult than it is now. They certainly covered some miles in their attempt to proclaim the gospel, and most were martyred for their faith. They didn't count the cost of what it means to be a true disciple of Jesus. To seriously follow Jesus can be costly and will require sacrifices, though the mortality rate is not as high as it was then, fortunately. But Jesus' command to go to the ends of the earth still stands today and applies to us all. Not everyone will need to pack their bags and go to the other side of the world, but all of us are called upon to participate in one way or another, and praying and donating for mission are the most basic and achievable ways of helping out for most of us. If you want to help individuals to be obedient to God's calling, check out the Match4mission website. Let me know what you think. I'd be grateful for your comments or questions. I'll interact with you with glad heart. Thank you.